those charges against the sitting president, in your view, or is it something where Congress would have to act?
I would let prosecutors who've dealt with this day in, day out pontificate on that. I simply will tell you that to hear the director of the FBI with some pretty definitive clarity say that the president either lied or misrepresented what had gone on, that takes you into an area that we rarely see, certainly from communications and activities involving the president. When you also find out that the actions by the president have consequences, not just for this investigation on the role that Russia played in our elections, but also in a potential cover-up. As I said, you're in obstruction of justice territory. Can you prove all the elements of an obstruction of justice charge? You know, we are only at the beginning of an investigation, and already this much information has come out. Would anyone have said weeks into the investigation of Watergate that we would have discovered as much as we ultimately did? My sense is that this is a deep pool, and Mueller hasn't even jumped into the water yet.
What do you make of Speaker Ryan's response? Was essentially something along the lines of, well, he's new at this. The president's new at this. He didn't really know maybe what he was doing, and I wonder just what your take is on that response.
My immediate reaction was, isn't this the guy who's got his finger on the nuclear button as well? And is that an excuse that you would give to someone who runs for president who would have his hand on the nuclear button? That he's still a new guy, cut him some slack? I don't get it. I think it speaks volumes more about those who are defending Donald Trump than even Donald Trump. How dare you say that, you know, it's a novice mistake. You run for president of the United States. This is not one of those things where you can just sort of say, oops, I forgot to pay the bill, or sorry, hundreds, thousands of kids aren't going to get their you know, Head Start. Oops, I didn't realize that we're not supposed to interfere in some other country's affairs. You go through the whole process of a campaign to prove that you're ready to be president of the United States. For someone to try to defend the, if not incompetence, then the dereliction of the president, in my book, you're an accomplice.
What do you think it would take? You said a couple weeks ago at the convention that we were nearing impeachment territory. What do you think it would take for Speaker Ryan, your former Republican colleagues in Congress, to get there themselves?
Well, after yesterday's comments by Speaker Ryan, I'm not sure, because if he's willing to excuse the potential for obstruction of justice, what else might they be willing to excuse? High crimes and misdemeanors can mean any number of things. I would believe that obstruction of justice would fit within that category. There are a lot of other things that would fit within that category as well. As Republicans demonstrated, they were willing to go that route in the late 1990s. If you get someone for not being totally candid about your definition of is and what you did in terms of your personal life, then you certainly should be willing to want to investigate what someone did with regard to potential collusion with Russia and trying to undermine our democratic elections.
You've got